So I'm just using a resistance band. It's not incredibly strong. There's a fair amount of give to it because I'm going to set it up just below my knees, and if you're familiar with my knee, you'll know it's got an injury, 30-year-old injury in it, so putting force through that knee is a real challenge. But I do also think it's important to sometimes put force through that knee to keep the tissue engaged in there. So often what I would do is actually put the strap just above the knees, but today I'm going to go just a little bit below, and it just makes my knee joint have to work a little bit harder. So this is just sort of warming up, limbering up into a deep squat. I've just got the band around the legs because I want to really connect well with my sort of lateral hip stabilizing muscles today. So I'm going to drive the knees out, my toes are pointing forward, planted the feet, so my heels, ball the big toe, ball the little toe, just trying to connect with that, have that weight evenly distributed throughout the foot, driving the knees out already to begin with. That engages a bit of hip stuff. I'm holding on to this kettlebell out in front, so my core is already starting to switch on, and I'm thinking about back pockets, front pockets, floating ribs in. I'm pushing out through the back and front pockets, but maintaining that floating rib engagement the whole time. I'm just going to sink down into a deep squat, driving the knees apart as I sink down into here, because it's just an exploration. I'm helping the knees out a little bit by just pushing with my arms slightly, giving them a bit of support on this side. The weight just helps me spend a bit of time down here. It helps to counterbalance things out a little bit. I'm not working so hard to keep myself forward and upright in the squat. It just assists with that. Just doing a little bit of movement here. Playing around with the ankles first, checking in with how they feel, making sure I'm nicely connected as I'm rolling around the foot. I'm rolling the weight around and just exploring different sensations of the feet carrying the load. Side to side. Starting to actively use the hips now, so I'm thinking about pulling the knees out, pushing them into the band, just holding for a few seconds. Give it a rest and relax, really drive into the band. Relax. Maybe because they've got the arms here, I might even push the knee into the arms as well for a little bit and relax. Pushing in, relax. Now driving apart. Might get the arms out of the equation for a bit. I can work a little bit harder as I do that, lift them up a bit higher. It'll move around. Just spending a bit of time exploring this position. So now I have moved the band up just a little. Again, just because I don't like putting that much force through the knees. If you want to put that force through your knees, feel free to keep the band down. Just a few little squats just to explore this movement. So feet planted, even weight through the whole foot. Not really gripping with my toes, but balanced through there. Driving the knees apart to begin with. That helps to engage the core as well as the lateral hips. And then just sinking down into deep squats. Just hold for a second or so, come back up. Really just exploring how it feels. Make sure I drive out into the band the whole time. Doesn't need to be excessive. I'm not trying to push my knees out super wide. I'm just really not letting them collapse in. Sinking down through here. Might do about 10 of these just to explore this movement. So when you're sinking your squat, you're thinking about sitting down on something behind you. So you end up with hopefully shins and spine roughly parallel. Come back up, as opposed to our deadlift, which we'll do later, which is almost the opposite. Shins stay up, spine comes forwards. So I've just got a resistance band. We're getting into the heavier resistance bands here. I'm just going to double that over. Gives me a little bit extra support because I've doubled it up, but it also shortens the length of the strap. And just going to feed that through the handle of the kettlebell. And just doing some suitcase carries with a bit more of an unstable weight right now, and I can amp that instability up just by kind of moving my arm around and getting that to start to shake around down here. So I'll just do like 45 seconds holding it on this arm, swap it over 45 seconds on the other arm, and then I'll probably go 2 times through that, so 4 sets all up. Strong through the core, pushing out, and all the pockets, so the back pockets, that soft tissue area between the ribs and the hips at the back, pressing out and down into the back of the pelvis. Front pockets, I'm pushing out, especially down low, and I'm drawing the floating ribs in through this area. Lifting up, walking forwards, 45 seconds for each set here. I like to walk backwards as well. Okay, so I'm back with the band just above the knees. I'm just going to do a little bit of, I guess, free movement here, but thinking about core engagement, thinking about switching the feet on, so engaging good contact with the floor through the ball of the whole foot, through the heel, really making sure I'm connected well with the floor, driving the knees apart, feeling this on. So it's not a massive drive apart. I might drop down into those kinds of positions, but there's always a little bit of engagement, just keeping the lateral glutes switched on, the hip stabilizers, and got some core engagement happening the whole time as well. So it's just little bit movements around. I might want to lift the leg up, step out wide, drop into a squat, really whatever you want to do. Just exploring this movement for a little bit. I really just want to connect with my hips. It's often, I have it above my knees, and it's often a little bit annoying. It can be nicer to have, a lighter band if you need below the knees, but with this kind of movement, I'm really cautious about what my right knee can handle because of that old injury that's still there. It's always going to be there. Like I wear a pretty heavy brace on this leg, which is really my inspiration for this. Trying to make sure I can keep moving as strong as I can, carrying an injury that really does have quite an impact on the movement that I can do. So I'm just really exploring movements from here. And that's just to really get my hips awake and engaged. So I'm just going to start with a lighter weight to do like some warm-up lifts in my deadlift. And with that, I'm going to keep the band just below my knees on this one. So, the bend in the knee is minimal. It's going to put less, but it's got less requirements of this damaged right knee. So I'm happy to have the band around at the moment, especially for these lighter weight warm-up sets. So for my deadlift, I really want to think about bum back, chest forwards. It's a movement on this plane more than it's a movement on this plane. So my bum goes back, chest comes forwards. Really trying to keep evenly weighted through the feet. Chest coming forwards, hands are going to come down, kind of in line with my shins towards my feet. Come up, it's just hips forwards, chest comes back. Down through here, my deadlift. Hips are engaged because I'm already pushing the knees out just slightly. Shouldn't see much change in shape, but it's enough to engage her up here. Core is switched on, keeping that switched on. Coming down, here I'm kind of pulling back slightly just to really engage my lats. And then hips forward to come up. I have offset weights, meaning one weight is heavier than the other. And I always do my deadlifts with offset weights, because I'm never going to be doing heavy deadlifts with my knee, but I want it to make it challenging. I want to make it functional. That's the right word to use. So that offset weight causes my core to have to work a little bit harder. So for my working sets, I've just gone up a little bit in weight. I'm going to do 10 repetitions, probably 2 each side, meaning 2 lots of 10 with the weights set up like this, 2 lots of 10 with the weights set up on the other side, alternating each time.